A turn now to new polling of a hypothetical 2024 election matchup that shows Donald Trump beating President Joe Biden in 7 swing states, including 6 won by the sitting president in 2020. According to the new numbers from Morning Consult and Bloomberg, Trump holds a 4-point lead over Biden in Arizona, a 6-point lead in Georgia, 4 points in Michigan, 3 points in Nevada, 2 points in Pennsylvania, 4 points in Wisconsin. Those in addition to a 9-point lead for Trump in North Carolina, a state he won by less than a point in 2020. The new survey also shows Trump with a 7-point victory across all those battleground states when third-party candidates are included on the ballot. Joining us now, White House reporter for Bloomberg, Akayla Gardner, with more on these poll numbers. Akayla, what stood out to you?
I think what stood out to me the most was definitely when those declared third-party candidates and independent candidates were added in, Trump's lead extends to 7 points. So we specifically asked voters about Jill Stein, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., Cornel West. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. by far had the most support at 9%. And I think this really underscores some of Democrats' worst fears. They had fear that some of these candidates were going to pull away voters from Joe Biden, of course, and this poll at least suggests that they will.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about Biden, okay, and the downfall of his administration / presidential campaign that I don't think has ever gotten off the ground yet, right? I mean, again, Biden says he's running in 2024, but I don't see him running anywhere, right, except to bed, okay? I mean, Chris Christie claims that he's running for president, but I don't see him running anywhere except Golden Corral. Okay, so I think that it is reasonable to question whether or not Joe Biden is actually running for president or if he's even capable of running for president, which is something we got to discuss in this video. But as of right now, Biden is losing, right? He's getting absolutely destroyed by Trump in the general election polls. And if the election was held today, then Trump would probably win in a landslide, right? It will be a historic landslide victory for a Republican in the general election. Amazing stuff, right? It's crazy how we went from January 6th to today, where Trump is leading Biden despite the politically motivated indictments and the constant derangement, Trump derangement from the liberal media in the attacks against the guy, right? I mean, these people are so desperate that they have resulted to basically, again, comparing Trump to Hitler on a daily basis, by the way.
In Mein Kampf, Hitler wrote, "The Jew," and I'm quoting him here, "poisons the blood of others." Trump has used that line before and other phrases like it that echo Nazi rhetoric, but it should be noted that, as you can see there, he is reading off a teleprompter, meaning that he knew exactly what he wanted to say.
South America, Africa, Asia. No mention of Europe in Mr. Trump's list. And he uses the term poisoning the blood of our country, poisoning the blood of our country. If you were to open up a copy of Hitler's Mein Kampf, you would find the Nazi leader describing the mixing of non-Germans with Germans as poisoning. The Jew, Hitler wrote, quote, poisons the blood of others. This, according to Hitler, posed an existential threat to Germany because, quote, all great cultures of the past perished only because the originally creative race died out from blood poisoning, unquote. There's really no other way to say it. Donald Trump's language mirrors this directly.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Again, according to the mainstream liberal media, wanting to close the border and talking about the negative consequences of allowing illegal immigrants, some of whom have been broken out of prison, some of whom have committed crimes, not all of them, right? But, you know, some of whom, again, we don't know much about. Apparently, having discussions about the consequences that could have for this country warrants comparisons to Hitler, right? Trump is basically echoing Nazi rhetoric, according to the mainstream liberal media. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed there how Caitlin Collins tried to use a sleight of hand to try to imply that Trump had used direct quotes from Hitler, not just in reference to illegal immigrants, but in reference to Jews, right? This is what she tried to do in her little rant there, which I picked up on, by the way, which, you know, you guys should pick up on how the mainstream liberal media does that when they try to use sleight of hands to smear people and to attribute quotes to Trump that he actually really didn't say. Okay, Trump never said that in reference to Jews, even though she tried to heavily imply that he did. Okay, this is all a part of the grand plan to smear Trump as, again, the most evil person ever, right? I wouldn't be surprised if they start calling Trump the Antichrist. I think that's coming next. But anyways, Biden's biggest problem is actually not Trump. Biden's biggest problem is actually himself, okay? And his policies in regards to the economy, the border, foreign policy, etc. But one of the biggest issues that Biden is having is maintaining a base when, you know, the fact of the reality is that he didn't have a base, right? Going into 2020, nobody voted for Biden because they liked Biden. They voted for Biden because they hated Trump. And now these voters are rejecting Biden in droves because of broken promises, and also when it comes to the issue of Israel and Palestine. And I want to talk about that, but before we get into it, we got to have a word from the sponsor of this video, BioTrust. When it comes to anti-aging, we are all looking for that miracle pill. Generally, you need to try multiple products that target different areas of the skin to fully combat the appearance of aging. Some supplements may attempt to reduce wrinkles, while others may bring back firmness to sagging skin. Believe it or not, I have found a solution that removes the need for juggling with multiple anti-aging products. It's a special type of collagen, and it's better at maintaining skin elasticity, reducing visible signs of aging, and promoting a youthful complexion than most anti-aging products I've seen typically found on store shelves. Tens of thousands of 5-star reviews back up the notion that this collagen is not only a modern day fountain of youth, but that it also removes the need for us to use countless serums and anti-aging supplements. Most importantly, you can save 53% for this month only. Plus, for a limited time, you'll receive free gifts such as free shipping, a 60-day satisfaction guarantee, free VIP live fitness and health coaching for life, and a free ebook titled The 14 Foods for Amazing Skin, all at no extra cost to you. Go to healthwithpatriot.com, that's healthwithpatriot.com, or click the link in the description down below before this once-in-a-lifetime deal sells out.
And I want to turn to something new we're doing as part of our NBC News coverage of the 2024 election. We're excited to roll out this new initiative. It's called the Deciders. What we're going to see here throughout the year is that we will have our reporting teams on the ground consistently in 7 key counties, talking to the people, looking at the issues that will both define this election and hopefully explain this election. I'm joined now by correspondents who are part of this initiative. Shaq Brewster is in Dane County, Wisconsin, and Marissa Parra is in Miami-Dade County, Florida. So, Shaq, you're following specifically how Democrats in Dane County, a very Democratic county, are feeling going into 2024. Why is this county so important for us trying to read the Democratic headwinds, and how are the voters there feeling as we start to turn the page into an election year?
Yeah, this county is important because of a key word, and that's enthusiasm. It's important for Democrats and the Democratic Party's base to be enthusiastic as they're going into an election. And here in Dane County, you have a high concentration of young voters, progressive voters, college-educated voters, voters who turn out in elections and have turned out here in Wisconsin. Back in 2020, you saw a 90% voter turnout in this county, and it's a place where 3 out of every 4 voters ended up backing Joe Biden. So enthusiasm matters, and that's why we're here to measure how folks are feeling about this election and the upcoming likely matchup. Listen to what they told me about that.
Just give me the emotion that you have looking at your choice this election.
Not enthused. I'd say overall I feel very pragmatic and strategic about it.
All of these issues that are popular with Democrats, he has not only not addressed, but often gone the entire opposite way on. I mean, I can look at like almost every issue in my head that's important to me, and I see a failure on Biden's part.
You can say that Joe Biden's, he's not as progressive as you'd like, or he's not this, he's too old. I mean, the guy is at least reasonable and has some sort of logic to what he does and understands the basics of I guess, how to be a president in some ways.
Even if I'm not enthused to, like, effectively elect my grandpa a second time, boy, do I want to keep the other guy out.
If the election were tomorrow, what would you do?
I don't think I'd vote for him. I still couldn't, obviously I could not bring myself to vote for Trump, but it would be the first time, I think, if I had to choose tomorrow, it would be the first time I think I'd vote for someone else, like third party.
Boy, I'm laughing for various reasons. Okay, one reason is because, again, clearly Biden's losing a base that he never had, right? His support, his progressive support, he's losing that support. But guys, I cannot do this video without pointing out that white people who watch my show, let's keep it 100. Let's keep it 100, right? Explain this to me, okay? Explain this to me. Really, seriously. Look at the young white liberals. Is this the future of our country? What's happening here? Y'all explain. Explain to me. What's going on, bruh? What's the common denominator between all of these young white liberal men, right? What's the common denominator? Probably the same common denominator as any liberal man, really. I mean, to be quite honest with you, but I'm just saying, it is very transparent, right, in that interview, okay? Look, I'm just saying, there's a masculinity crisis in this country. And, I'm pretty sure it's divided among political lines, right? Not racial lines. But wow, right? That interview, wow. I mean, it was fascinating, right? Fascinating. I'm just saying, we should be highly concerned about the future of this country because, let's keep it 100. We're not exceptional anymore, right? The people in this country are not exceptional. All these people you just saw voted for Joe Biden, right? They voted for Joe Biden. Okay, and that's how you end up with an old, senile guy as president because it is a reflection of the people in the country, right? This is why I'm almost 100% sure in the next 20, 30 years, probably sooner, China's going to be on top because they, I believe, probably do have a more exceptional populace, or put it this way, their standards, right? In terms of what standard they hold their own people to is much higher, right? Asia's going to dominate, not just China, Asia, right? In general. Just because they have a much higher standard for the population than we do here in the United States. And again, it's a reflection of our population when you see our leadership, people like Joe Biden, be elected into office. But with that being said, I told you guys that the Israel-Palestine issue was going to be the Achilles heel of the Democrat Party, right? It was going to destroy the Democrat Party. And I told you literally as soon as it happened, I told you that conflict is going to destroy the Democrat Party. Because people are very passionate about that, especially progressive left. Now, look at the polls then, look at the polls now. Look at the polls then when it came to his support from young people, and look at the polls now when it comes to his support from these young people, right? He's lost all that support, right? He's lost all that support, okay? And it's because of this issue, plus on top of that, there's some other, promises that Biden made to the young progressives that he just didn't do, right? He wasn't woke enough, right? He wasn't progressive enough, which thank God he wasn't more progressive. But again, it's a shame, right? It really is. It's a shame that we live in a country where people say, well, I'm not going to vote for you because you weren't progressive enough. As if progressivism isn't the reason why this country is going to hell in a handbasket, right? But anyways, with that being said, Biden is frustrating his aides, right? His aides are frustrated behind closed doors because Biden is living in delusional world, right, when it comes to his age, right? Biden believes that he is not actually 80 years old, right? Biden actually believes that he's younger, okay? He's trans ageist, right? I think that's the term for it. So let's play this clip.
I'll just say it. Biden's too old, and Congress is the most exclusive nursing home in America. Washington keeps failing because politicians from yesterday can't lead us into tomorrow.
That's a new campaign ad from Republican presidential candidate Nikki Haley. It is not subtle, taking a shot at President Biden's age. The president's age has been one of his greatest campaign liabilities as he seeks to extend his time in the White House if he wins re-election to the age of 86. A new Axios reporting just out suggests he doesn't actually realize how old he comes across at times, saying, quote, President Biden's reluctance to acknowledge his physical limitations at age 81 has caused some tension on his team. Joining us now is national political correspondent for Axios, Alex Thompson. Alex, I'm fascinated by the reporting. When you talk about tension on the team, what does that lead to internally in the West Wing?
You know, it really leads to a clash over the schedule in particular, because this is sort of where they think that things can go awry. Essentially, a lot of aides that I've talked to have been struck that Biden, behind closed doors, repeatedly says, you know, I feel so much younger than my age. And he says it so often and with such real sincerity that there has become this tension where he ends up overextending himself, that basically aides feel that he does not know his own physical limitations. And
so basically he's delusional, right? He's delusional. He's not in touch with reality, which, I mean, that's a common trait among Democrats. I mean, their whole party, their whole platform is based off not being in touch with reality. So again, it shouldn't be any surprise that the president of the United States is not in touch with the reality of his age, okay? Because again, if he was actually really in touch, he should step down and realize that, hey, I'm too old, right? I should not continue to be president of the United States. But again, you know, this is what happens when you have the mainstream liberal media telling lies, okay, and trying to make it seem like Biden's age is not a big deal, right? Like, oh, well, let's not be concerned about the fact that this guy is tripping and falling everywhere and he can't complete a sentence and that he's getting lost, okay, that he only has 2 activities per day and then he goes to sleep at, 3 p.m. in the middle of the day because he can't do anything else. Nah, don't be concerned about that, right? Don't be concerned about that. When clearly it is a concern, right? Could you imagine being one of this guy's aides, right? Especially considering how Joe Biden allegedly curses out his staffers, okay? Could you imagine it being like 8 p.m. and Biden has to go to bed because he's been up past his bedtime? He asked for some milk and cookies before, going to bed, and then you go get the milk and cookies, you bring it back to him. He's almost half asleep. You got to wake him up to eat his milk and cookies, and then he goes off on you because he forgot that he told you to go get his milk and cookies, right? Could you imagine? Could you imagine? Again, I'm pretty sure that Biden's age is very apparent to some of these aides that spend all their time around him all day long. I'm pretty sure they know firsthand this guy is way too old to be president of the United States. And again, this is why there's probably some frustration here, right? Biden trying to prove people wrong, but he gonna end up in a bad spot. And the worst thing that can happen, I said this before and I'll say it again. This is why they're hiding Biden. This is why they're not trying to have a primary out there in Florida. They don't want Biden campaigning. If Biden has a dementia moment on the campaign trail during the general election season, it's over for him, right? Let's say he has a Mitch McConnell moment, which is likely, unfortunately, it could possibly happen, right? If he has a Mitch McConnell moment on the campaign trail against Trump, it's over. It's over. And they know that, right? They know that. This is why they're so frustrated with Biden. Because Biden's going to try to prove, oh, no, I'm good, right? I'm good. I can do some push-ups, Jack. Let's do some push-ups, Jack. How Biden is. And he going to end up having a moment that's going to destroy him.
And that he tries to do too much. And, that has this, adverse effect where he ends up wearing himself out. So even though he is doing more events, he actually presents as more tired, which is then how you get these poll numbers that show that over 70% of voters have serious concerns about him doing a second term.
You also write about the First Lady's role in all of this. Joe Biden, you talk about how she and her team are so deeply involved in the president's day-to-day schedule. And you quote her saying, Joe's working too hard, that she would tell his then chief of staff, Steve Ricchetti. Joe Biden recalled in his memoir, "Promise me, Dad," quote, "he's exhausted, he's not sleeping, it's going to kill him."
He belongs in a nursery home. He belongs in a nursery home. They're babysitting this man. What they mean by Joe working too hard? What they mean by Joe working too hard is that, well, Joe is walking around too much. Joe ain't actually doing no work. What work is Joe doing? Keep it 100. What is he actually really doing? The dude has to be told what chair to sit in. When to say hey, when to say bye, when to start the meeting, when to end the meeting. He has to be told when to use the bathroom. He probably has a butt wiper, okay? What work is he actually doing? Let's keep it 100. What they mean by he's working too hard, which means he's getting up out of the bed, period. That's working too hard. again, it's sad. It really is. It's sad that this is the current state of our country. This is who is running the country, where the aides, the staffers are saying, yo, this guy is way too old. We got to sit him down. He gonna die if he continue to work like this. This is what they're saying. That's literally what they're saying.
You raise that now. Why?
Well, there are a few different things. So Jill Biden has an extraordinary amount of influence over the president's schedule. Now,
AKA she running the country for the most part. Her and probably Obama. Okay, she's probably going to Obama, and then, at the end of the day, she's the one running things. So again, Jill is on the ballot. Okay, you know how Nikki says a vote for Biden is a vote for Kamala. Nah, a vote for Biden is a vote for Jill. Jill is on the ballot.
It's usual for first ladies to keep an eye on the schedule. It is not so normal for a first lady to be crafting the presidential schedule. And part of it is because her role is really that of a protector. And she recognizes that the president, going back to that moment in that memoir, can overextend himself. Now, when Joe Biden wrote that, he was in his early 70s. Now, at this point, she is very involved in making sure that he gets enough rest. She's also been pushing him on his diet, trying to get him to eat more fish and salmon and a little bit less junk food. She is very much in this role of making sure that the president, who is the oldest president ever, is staying healthy, getting enough rest, and being able to present as vigorous going into this reelection.
Yeah, so she is his handler, right? Again, he's so old that his wife, who's also old as hell too, has become his protector. So she's his protector, his provider, okay, his schedule, his handler. I mean, she's his babysitter. Again, this man belongs in a nursing home, not the White House. But hey, this is where we're at. This is where we're currently at, right, in our country. Okay. Again, it's astonishing to think about. It really is. Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.